Kelly, and we're back with some of our frequently asked questions, and Dogtra training info is going to be the title of this video. Anyway, one of the questions that we've gotten 2 or 3 times here in the last week is that we were told that we have to use a pinch collar to start out with training the dog. No, we don't use a pinch collar at all. We don't use any other collar other than the electronic collar, and I'm going to tell you why. When you're using a pinch collar, or you're using a choke chain, what you're trying to do is contract the dog's muscles to get their attention. You can easily hook the leash to this collar, hit the nick, and it's the exact same effect except for better, and doesn't involve a lot. A pinch collar is going to involve a lot of arm movements. It's going to require a lot of skill, and those things do have a tendency to fall off. I had somebody that called me, their dog, they had it on, and then the pinch collar just fell off, and the dog got hit by a car. Not one of our dogs, this was just somebody that called me. So that's what I want you guys to think of. If I just told you they invented a device that was like an automatic choke chain or pinch collar, and that all you had to do was hit a button and kind of pull the thing, then you would say, oh, that sounds great. But then, you know, because people have this bad connotation of electronic collar, they're incapable of seeing it that way. All right, the other question that we get asked is, what collar do we use? And we actually use something called the 200 Gold, because we've got about 20 of them in there. But what we recommend now for the clients is the Dogtra 300 Element, which is the replacement for the 200 Gold, except for they've inexplicably moved the buttons around. And so it's the same thing. We always tape over the continuous button. We are mostly just using the pager and the nick. On the occasional dog, you are going to have to use the bump on the continuous, or sometimes here and there. Okay, so the other question we ask is, why do you always say start the pager slightly before? And there's going to be a slight delay. You don't want to start the pager slightly after. So if you get in the habit of starting the pager slightly before you give the command, it's going to be more synchronized. And you want the dog, I want you to think, if you had your cell phone in your pocket and it started to vibrate, you don't instantly answer. It takes a minute to recognize. And you remember, we're developing something called muscle memory. And you see a lot of these, when we hit the pager, they'll have a physical reaction to it. So that's the muscle memory, but that takes time. If you give a command and then have the collar afterwards, that's called punishment training. That doesn't work. All right, and then people always ask us, what's the difference between the pager and the nick? The pager is the same as your cell phone set on vibrate, except for you can control the duration, but it really is the exact same motor that they use in cell phones. So it's, you know, the collar's vibrating. That's a physical cue for the dog. It's not a correction. It's not a punishment. It's just a cue to help them, again, gain the muscle memory so that they'll have the physical reaction to the command. So here, let's just get on Jameson up there. Wait, let's kind of wait until he's gone away there. Jameson! Good. But what happened there when he felt the pager, and I correlated that with my verbal command, but he had a physical reaction. He didn't even really think. He had a knee-jerk reaction to feeling that pager, and that was to turn and move in my direction, because you know we always call them when their back is turned. Hello, my beauties. Okay, and then the other thing people always ask. You made video after video, but my collar doesn't make a sound. All right, you guys, so remember, we're only using the sound box for the videos. If we didn't have the sound box for the video, you guys, it would be very difficult for you to tell when we were hitting the page or when we were hitting the nick or whatever. All right, and then the other question we got asked was, what contact points do I need? And it's really going to vary from dog to dog, and Dogtra has several different contact points. And what we use for the very short-haired dogs and for the puppies is the 632 acorn nuts that you can buy at the hardware store. So you just unscrew the contact points that are on there, and then get 2 washers and 2 of the 632 stainless steel ones if you can get them, and then screw that on there and kind of tighten it with the pliers. So, and the other question was, can't I do these things without the collar? And the answer is really no. It would almost be like saying, can't I communicate without my cell phone? I don't know anyone that can these days. So in today's fast-paced, hectic world, We need to have tools to communicate with the dog at a distance, you know, and then I get these nutcases that say people have trained dogs for thousands of years. No, they haven't. You know, the German Shepherd, which is really the most trained breed of dog that there is only a little over 100 years old. If you go back and watch the early videos of Schutzen and stuff, I mean, it looks like a joke. I mean, so organized dog training, you know, and yes, they did use dogs, you know, in the wars and stuff, and in World War I and stuff, and then in Vietnam they started becoming more, you know, they used them for scout dogs and all that, but we're to the point now they're actually training bomb dogs like they do field trial dogs to be able to handle at an extreme distance. So, you know, dog training is a constantly evolving thing. People have not been training dogs for thousands of years. You know, yeah, they figured out dogs could chase things down, but they, you know, probably had to go there with a club and get them off, and, you know, so they could grab the meat and eat it themselves. So anyway, more of my kookiness. Bye, you guys.